Are you sick and fucking tired of no wave and sass? Yeah, me neither. But along the seas of dissonant punk bands in the 90s, past the US Maples, the XBXRXs, and the X Models, we got, in 1994, a little-known band known as Arab on Radar, which was formed by Mr. Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder, also known as Mr. Potty Mouth on vocals, Mr. Type A on guitar, Mr. Clinical Depression, also on guitar, Andrea Fissett on bass, I probably pronounced that wrong, I don't give a fuck, and Mr. Obsessive Compulsive Disorder on drums. Here's their actual names on screen right now. And here's my friend giving themselves a toaster bath. Now, Arab on Radar is kind of a weird band. For one, when the band was originally forming, none of the members either A, were ever in a band before, nor B, even knew who the fuck each other were. They all just so happened to be applying for the same job in Connecticut, of which none of them got. And they also found Fissett at a bar where she just so happened to play bass, so they got her in the band and boom, Arab on Radar has just been formed. Now, Arab on Radar are a very unique band musically, where you've got two lunatics on guitars doing shit on a guitar that would get you an NC-17 rating, Mr. Pottymouth spewing shit about staring at tits and eating yellow snow, and the drums and bass being the only things that keep everyone together, which makes everything feel like a mix of Public Image Limited, Six Finger Satellite, Lake Dracula, and Captain Beefheart if he was a raging homosexual. If you listen to the tracks on the cassette they released in 1995, you can definitely hear the dancey Public Image influence. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you see it, they wouldn't stay like this for very long, where with the Kangaroo single they would immediately become a lot more chaotic. The songs from this time period would also be packaged into the Stolen Singles compilation, which has some other shit from other compilations and singles from different dates, but I'll shut the fuck up for now so I can talk about Queen Hygiene II, released in 1997 by I just really want to take a second to appreciate how good of an opener and tone-setter Attack on Tijuana is. Okay, now if the early demos and singles made you think, yeah, these guys are a little bit fucking crazy, this album's gonna blow you out the fucking water. There's no breaks in this album. It's just 22 straight minutes of the most dissonant guitar riffs and some guy talking about pubic hair. Is this what sasscore is? You can still hear the pill influence here, but it's all even more chaotic and manic than it was before, and is one of the most influential punk albums in history, especially in sass and no wave. Or at least I think so. Citation needed. And despite all of that chaos that you have to sit through, you can still discern song from song, and you'll likely remember them. And you'll like them. You will love St. Patrick's Gay Parade. I also really want to take a moment to talk about their stage presence, where they're just some of the most energetic and craziest motherfuckers alive. I didn't know where else to put this in the script, so you're just hastily getting it at this point. And then a year later, they would release Rough Day at the Orifice on which might lean a little more on the chaotic side when compared to Queen Hygiene, but honestly, this just feels like a part 2. Or part 3 of Queen Hygiene. And honestly, this is the album I've listened to the least from Arab on Radar. Not saying that it's a bad album, but here they stray a lot farther away from their normal groove to... They're a lot slower and have a lot less groove here, being more focused on just being downright disturbing, since what sick fuck composes music like this? You can still find those groovy elements from Queen Hygiene here, with tracks like Don't Call Him a Retard and Menstruating Thrills. Fucking amazing song titles, by the way. But even then, it's still far more chaotic than Queen Hygiene ever was. And then Andrea left the band after Rough Day came out, and then they did some shit with the Flying Lutenbachers, and then they got signed to Skin Graft, and then they did Soak the Saddle in 2000, without a bassist. Bass is gay anyways, government propaganda. This is also probably the most inaccessible Arab on Radar album so far. Considering one half of the thing that kept the songs together is just gone now, everything is so much more chaotic, and it's fucking awesome. I've pretty much said it twice and I'll say it again. This album is just 20 minutes of noise, and I mean that in the best way possible. While their previous two albums had some semblance of structure, and Orifice leaned more on less structure, this is probably the perfect follow-up to that, having no structure. My only gripe with this album is that there isn't any proper song titles, instead everything being represented by numbers and dates. Part of what made me love their other albums is the stupid-ass song names like Spit Shine My Asshole and Herpes Simplex. Are you telling me that you couldn't call number 5 October 17th, 1998 something like Limp Dick Affair? Are you fucking kidding? That really took 1 star off my Rate Your Music rating for this album. Sucks too, since this album has some of the funniest and most demented lyrics yet. At least with Yahweh the Highway in 2001, they brought back these amazing track names like Cocaine Money, Semen on the Mountain, Birth Control Blues. Now here they actually open open up with their longest track yet, Fuck You, O. Henry, and it's actually something that might be considered a structured song for once. And then they immediately chuck that idea out the window with Cocaine Mummy, Fuck You. This album is simultaneously one of the most accessible and inaccessible points for the band. I really do not know how to describe it, but that sentiment probably makes sense. The songs here are a lot longer than usual, and by that I mean everything is longer than 2 fucking minutes, so you're not getting a 20-minute prog epic. But this is probably where the band was at their most mature and arguably most demented. This album is truly a unique beast, being as chaotic as Soak the Saddle, but still somewhat being structured like Queen Hygiene, and by structured I mean they sometimes play on time. This is probably the best album by Arab on Radar. Probably, where their amazing songwriting is at its peak, and oh whoops, the band just broke up a year later. Sorry, we had creative differences. Now, I don't know how the fuck you have creative differences in a band like this, where it's just a bunch of guys jerking off their instruments, but like, whatever, go figure. And then after the demise of this band, Mr. Pottymouth and Mr. Obsessive Compulsive Disorder would go on to form the Chinese Stars and Doomsday Student, which also had Mr. Type A. Pottymouth also did some shit with Psychic Graveyard. I don't know if any of that shit's good, honestly. Mr. Clinical Depression went on to form Made in Mexico, which, for those who don't know, is the same band that did that one song that everyone hated in Guitar Hero 2, and Andrea Fissett did absolutely fucking nothing when she left Arab on Radar, which is, like, fair enough. Arab on Radar is probably a band you don't want on your resume.